Hello. Good afternoon to everyone and welcome. I see for a moment there my video was, rather my mic was muted. But welcome to another session again of STEAM Forward. Really hoping that you guys are enjoying. For those that are joining us for the very first time, we are using this platform as a platform where we can play with science and hopefully inspire our young ones to follow the STEAM careers. We have had 3 sessions thus far. Today will mark our 3rd session. If I can just go back to the 17th of July when we started with DIY Lava Lamp, and also we learned how to blow our own balloons using chemistry. On the 31st of July, we had, today is the 31st, on the 26th of July, we learned how to make our own ice cream in a bag. And today we are going to be looking at chromatography, butterflies and flowers. Really hoping that you guys are getting excited about the sessions and that you're learning as much as you can. And for the adults, what we also have from Southwest Africa point of view is webinars that we hold. This is a space where we really engage in science-related topics, interesting things that affect us. And if you are keen to join some of these, please follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and whatever you will be able to see what's coming up next. And please sign up. Please continue to support. That's all for me for today. And Janita, you can take them away.
Thank you so much, Freddie, and welcome. Good morning and good afternoon to everybody. As you all know, it is 9 a.m. here, and I know that it's 3 p.m. in South Africa, so it's morning for me, afternoon for you all, but welcome everybody to STEAM Forward. As Freddie mentioned, I am Dr. Janita Pritchett, and I'm going to be taking you through some fun learning science demos. So as Freddie mentioned, we've been on a whole series. So the first we did some chemical reactions. Last week we learned how to make our own ice cream. And this week we're actually going to be combining 2 of my favorite things. We're going to be combining both science and STEM and art. And so that's where the word STEAM comes from. So a lot of different organizations and education platforms are moving to this idea of STEAM education versus STEM education. And that just simply means we are incorporating art into our learning. And so not only are we going to do a really fun, really quick, repeatable science demonstration, we're also going to be creating some crafts and artwork that you can display around your house, okay? Let's get into what we're doing today. So if you guys remember, if you've been joining us on the past few weeks, we've been talking, and I've showed this same kind of image a few times, where we've discussed this idea of matter being everything around us. Matter is anything that occupies space and has mass. And matter can be broken down into smaller categories, whether that be a pure substance or a mixture. And last week we focused a lot on this mixture idea. And we discussed the fact that there's 2 different types of mixtures that are out there, both homogeneous, meaning same throughout, and heterogeneous, meaning different throughout mixtures. And so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be exploring ways to separate these mixtures, okay? Now, one of the ways that we can separate mixtures, especially if they're in the liquid or gas form, is through a process known as chromatography. So chromatography, if we break that word down, chromatography, chroma means color, and the graphy part means writing. So we're essentially going to be writing with color. Now, chromatography came about originally to help separate out the chlorophyll pigments, the colorful green part that are found in plants. But we now use it today for many purposes. It's used in forensics labs, in clinical labs, and today we're going to use it to create our art. And so this chromatography technique is used to separate mixtures, these homogeneous mixtures. And the way we're going to do that is by exploiting the fact that there is something called a stationary phase and a mobile phase. And we'll talk about what those words mean in a second, okay? So if we could flip to my other camera, I want to talk about our supplies that we're going to need, okay? And parents, if you follow the list, there's one more item I'm going to ask you to grab, just so I can show you a few different ways to do this technique, okay? So what we need are our coffee filters, because we're going to be making coffee filter butterflies. You're going to need some pipe cleaners, and these are going to be used to make either the stem or the antennas of our butterflies. A spray bottle with some water, okay? Markers, and it's really important to make sure that you use washable markers and not permanent markers, and we'll talk about the why in a little bit. You also may want to have some paper towel around, of course, a plastic covering down to catch any mess. And parents, go ahead and grab, if you can, find some either small plastic cups or clear plastic cups that you can use to put a little bit of water in. We're going to fill these up, not all the way, but just put a little bit of water in here because I'm going to show you a few different ways that we can get our chromatography going. Okay, so I'll give you guys a second to grab a cup. It doesn't have to be clear. If you don't have, excuse me, I didn't clear that out. If you don't have clear plastic cups, then you can get any type of cup, just something that's a small, kind of wide mouth that we'll be able to place something in. Okay, so take a second, grab a cup. Clear is better, but if you don't have clear, don't worry. Just grab a cup that you can put a little bit of water in, and probably no more than about an inch or about 2.5 centimeters high. Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody has their supplies, and we can go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, chromatography is used to separate mixtures. And the mixtures that we're looking at are things that have multiple components in them, multiple things that we want to separate out. So as I mentioned, chromatography involves the use of a stationary phase and a mobile phase. In our case, our stationary phase is going to be our coffee filters. It's considered to be a stationary phase because it doesn't move. It stays stationary, okay? Our mobile phase is going to be our water, whether that be in our spray bottle or in one of our cups, okay? So again, have either or around, and I'm going to show you how we can do both, okay? All right, so our mobile phase is going to be water. And how that water works, when it gets in contact with the stationary phase, through a process known as capillary action. Capillary action allows the water, to move up that coffee filter. And as it moves, it's going to carry some of the color pigments that are found in our markers. Now, many of us know about primary colors and secondary colors, and so we know some colors have multiple colors that are inside of them. What chromatography is going to allow us to do is to separate the colors, the pigments that are found in here, okay? So what you're going to do, get one of your filter papers, and we're going to make a few of these, okay? And all we're going to do, I'm going to give you a few cues on some of the things to do, and then you can also freestyle. I want you guys to get as creative as possible. But take some of your markers, one of your markers, and we're going to decorate our stationary phase. We're going to deposit some of the ink from here onto our stationary phase. And so one of the ones that I want you to do, take a filter paper, a coffee cup filter paper, and just draw a circle kind of in the center. And put a lot of ink on there. And you can choose a few colors. Okay, so you see I'm just putting some color there. I'm going to add a few more colors just so I can see what transpires out of here. So just kind of put it around. Okay, we're going to put some circles. Try to keep them from overlapping, the colors for this first one. And put as many colors as you like. Again, get creative. This is art. Okay, so all I'm doing is decorating like so. And maybe I'll add one more color. We'll add a little black. Okay. All right, so that's one of your filter papers that I want you to do. And if you have a cup, I'm going to show you one way we can do this, okay? Then we'll talk about how you can decorate some of the other ones. So after you have your circles, if you guys want, go ahead and, if you've been drawing your circles, add them, show them up to the camera real quick so we can just see how they start. Show me your circles or your decorations. All right, so we're going to now take this and we're going to fold it to make kind of like a pizza wedge. So fold it once. Then we're going to fold it again. And you can even fold it one more time if you'd like, depending on how wide the mouth of your cup is. Okay, so now we have a nice little pizza wedge. Everyone see? All right, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna place this into our cup. And we wanna, well, before we put it in there, we wanna make sure that the water level is below the first line, the first bit of color. So mine's a little high, so I'm gonna pour just a little bit of my water out. Like so. You can set it beside it so you can check and see. Take a little bit less out, so you don't need that much water in here. All right, And then we're just gonna place our pizza wedge into our cup, and we're gonna watch what happens. Now, as we place that pizza wedge in the cup, you notice that the water starts climbing up the filter paper. Hopefully you guys can see that. And as it's climbing, it's taking some of those color pigments with them and allowing them to separate out. That climbing action that the water is doing is due to capillary action. Again, it's able to stick and pull. What we're gonna see over time is that different colors travel different paces. Some travel a lot with the water, some don't travel that far. And that's based on this idea of, do they like the water? Are they soluble in the water? Or are they more resistant to the water? One of the things that we like to think about, the chemist's rule of thumb, is this idea of like dissolves like. Things that are more similar to the water, that have more properties similar to the water, they're gonna travel further with the water. And things that are less similar, they're gonna not travel as far. They're gonna stay put on that stationary phase, okay? And so we're just gonna let this, our chromatography take place, but we're also gonna start decorating a few more. So I'm gonna just set this to the side. Take another coffee filter and decorate it any way you see fit. So you can add some shapes on here. You can do whatever you want on here. And I'm gonna show you how you can do the same process with a spray bottle instead. Okay, so I'm just putting a couple hearts here. Decorate it however you like. And we're gonna see what happens when we spray it with our water. Okay, so I'm gonna add a few colors to this, make them as colorful as possible. Again, remember, we're making flowers and butterflies, and we wanna make these really nice and colorful. So again, I'm just decorating this however I see fit. When we're making our flowers, we're gonna need you can really make, oh, that marker's dry. You can make them with a single filter paper, but the more filter papers that you can create to make your flower, the better. You'll get some nice, thick, beautiful bouquets. So again, all I'm doing is I am putting a lot of different, that one's dry too. I am putting a lot of different colors in any pattern onto my filter paper. And go ahead and decorate a few more in whatever way you see fit. So I'm just gonna decorate it and then we'll show the water bottle. One of the most fun ones that I like to look at are black markers. The black markers are really cool because there's some colors that you're gonna end up seeing that you may not expect. So black and the brown give you some really surprising results. So again, I'm just decorating my filter paper, and then we're gonna allow that chromatography process to take place. Okay, so just adding a few colors. So put some brown and try to remember some of the colors that you're adding to your filter paper so that you can see what happens once you're done. Maybe I'll put a little yellow. Again, just making any patterns that you want. This is art. Feel free to have fun with it. Get creative. Okay? All right, and so if you don't have a cup readily available, you can also just use a spray bottle. With the spray bottle, after you have them nice and decorated, so again, I've decorated my stationary phases, we're just gonna simply spray with a little water. And what you're gonna see as we start spraying with some water, that same capillary action is gonna cause those colors to start spreading out. And it's gonna create a really cool pattern. Now we don't need to soak our stationary phases. We just wanna add enough water to get it damp, to get the colors moving. One thing you'll notice, if you happen to put a piece of paper towel under your stationary phase, that color is gonna start to transfer to the paper towel, okay? So you may wanna have plastic down to try to keep as much of the colors as possible on your stationary phase. This one, the one that I placed in the cup, as you can see, the water has pretty much gone to the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out, open it up, and we're gonna see really cool patterns. Oh, not drop it. Almost like a tie-dye pattern created. All right, and we're just gonna sit this to the side and let this dry a bit before we construct our butterflies or flowers. So make a few of these, make as many as you can, and then we'll start constructing them. So we're just gonna let these dry out a bit before we make our butterflies and our flowers. So again, oh, that had a little bit of water on it, but that's okay. We're gonna add some more water. So again, decorate a few more. Try to get at least 5 coffee filters that you take through the chromatography process, whether that be using your spray bottle or using a cup. Okay, so again, I'm just decorating here. And again, maybe I'll just spray this one a bit and watch those colors start to separate. I'm gonna put another one in my water. May switch out my water. This one's got a little bit of purple in it, so I'm gonna get some fresh water here. And we'll pour. Again, I'm gonna do another one. This one I may decorate with those circles again, just to create that more tie-dye pattern. But notice some of the colors, like if we look at our purple on this one, notice how our purple, hopefully you guys can see, our purple is separating out to some blue and a little reddish or a pink color. And we know that those are the colors that go into making purple. So we can see these mixtures separating out into their individual components. Okay, so again, I'm gonna make another one where I'm gonna do some circles. Okay, we're just doing some circles here. We're letting those other ones dry out a bit. Get as creative as you want, add as many colors. The more color, the better, because you'll get to see a lot of things coming out of these separations. What may also be surprising is that if you use a color like one of our primary colors, like a red or a blue, that you still get some separation of color that may occur. And that's because you have multiple different ink colors that are making this one blue that we're seeing. Okay, so again, I'm just making some circles. And so forth. Okay, this one I'm going to drop in my water one more time, just to let the chromatography take place. So again, if you missed it before, after you've decorated it, go ahead and fold it into like a pizza wedge. I put the color outside just so I can see it. Okay, again, this coffee filter represents our stationary phase. The water represents the mobile phase. And through capillary action, we're going to see, and you can fold it again if you want, we're going to see the water start to move up the pizza wedge and carry some of those inks with it. Okay, you see immediately as soon as it goes in the water, it starts dragging some of that ink with us up to the top. Okay, so go ahead, hopefully you guys have some really great pictures evolving. Again, notice here, again, take a look at that black. You see how there's some blue that came out of the black. Our browns have some orange in them. So you can see these mixtures, these homogeneous mixtures that are inside these markers. Using chromatography, we're able to separate them out. Again, chromatography, we use it in a lot of different fields. We use it in the clinical field, forensic field, environmental, to detect things in the ocean. We can use it for a lot of things. So all I'm doing right now is I'm picking up my stationary phases and giving them a little shake so they can hopefully dry a bit better. And these are going to be the foundation for our butterflies. Okay. So again, you can do this using the spray bottle. If you missed that, you just simply take your stationary phase. And if you don't have coffee filters, you can use paper, regular paper. You can use paper towels. Anything that has some absorbent nature to it, you can use. So I'm going to take this one again. I'm just going to decorate using some of my markers. Make all types of shapes just to see what comes out. Try different colors and try to predict what you think the colors are going to turn to. And And I'm just adding lines, dashes, dots, whatever you see fit. Have fun with it. If you have a favorite color, you can make one that's all one color and see if some other ink colors pop out. But again, one of the favorites, if you look at your black and your brown markers, those work the best. Now, the reason I mentioned earlier that we don't want to use like permanent markers, like you really don't want to use a Sharpie for this because Sharpies are permanent. They don't really like, the inks that are in there don't really like to be around water. And so what happens is you won't see this separation occurring in the dyes that are there. All right, again, I'm just going to spray this with a little water to get my chromatography happening. Give it a little spray. Doesn't have to be soaked. You just want to get it kind of damp. All right. So after you've done a few of these, we're ready to start assembling our butterflies or our flowers. So let's start with the butterfly. The butterflies are pretty straightforward. So find one that you want to turn into a butterfly. Doesn't matter which one. Okay. And we're going to take one that's mostly dry. Doesn't have to be completely dry, but mostly dry. Still a little bit damp. And for me, I like to actually crinkle them up a little bit just to give them a little texture. So I kind of crinkle just a little bit, just to give it a bit of texture. So just crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. We're not smashing it, but just crinkle it up, okay? And then we're gonna be taking our pipe cleaner. We're gonna use this to create our antenna. So take your filter paper and we're gonna take and pinch towards the middle, two sides. So take and pinch to create our wing. So you see how I did that? Again, all I did was I'm taking from one side here, and pinching it in the middle to create some wings like this. And then we're going to take our pipe cleaners and just wrap around that section to hold it together. So bring it up, pull it together. Okay, try to make it so my antennas are even. All righty. And then once you get it in place, give it a nice little twist, just to lock it in place, like this. Fluff out your wings, like so. And then take your antennas, your pipe cleaners, and you can bend them down to create nice little antennas, like this. Okay, so we can create really pretty butterflies. If you want to display or hang your butterflies, if you have some string or yarn around, grab a piece of string. Or some yarn. And we can attach it to our butterfly. Just simply wrap it around that center piece. Pull it around and we'll tie. Like so. And then you could actually hang this up around your house, okay? So if you want to hang it, go ahead and add a piece of string and you can let it hang around. You could also wrap this around the antenna to give it a bit more support. Okay, so that's our butterfly. Again, we use some chromatography to create the really pretty wing colors that we're seeing and going from there. All right, I'm gonna take this one out to let it dry a bit. Again, notice the colors that we're seeing. Oh, that one's really pretty. Remember, this started with mainly black and brown, and now we're seeing more of this blue and orangey and yellow colors that have come out. Okay, so I'm gonna set that one to dry. All right, now if you wanna make a flower, for a flower, you can make it using just one of your stationary phases, but really it's better if you add a few of them, okay? So I'm gonna put 4, I actually made another one last night that I liked. And so I'm gonna add all of these together. So again, I crinkle them up just a bit, just to give a little texture to the flower. So crinkle, crinkle, crinkle. Give a little crinkle here. Little crinkle. And you can pick which ones you want to use to make your flower. Now there's a lot of different techniques that you can use to assemble your flower. I normally will just kind of fold and put one on top of the other. This is going to help give it a little depth. Okay, so you can take at least 4. The more you add, the better. Okay, you can then, again, kind of do that fold like a pizza wedge like we did before. You can do another fold. And even another fold, okay? And we're gonna use this to create the flower itself. take another one of your pipe cleaners. I've used green to make it look like a stem. And you can go ahead and around the tip of the pipe cleaner, you can wrap that around to create a really firm base. Tie it around a few times so that you now have a nice stem. You can even coil it around to make it even stronger. And then you're going to take and fluff out the layers that are here. So just pull them apart, and this is going to start to create that nice flower arrangement. So start separating them out. Separate out the different layers that are there to create a really nice, pretty flower. Okay, you can do this, like I said, with just one, but the more pipe clean or more stationary phases you add, the thicker your flower will be. You just want to go in and separate all of that out. And try playing around with the construction. Do you like it like this? Or you can try putting the pipe cleaner in a different position. So again, all I'm doing is separating out my layers here to create some really cool little flowers. Okay. And so in this demo today, we've used our chromatography to not only separate out the mixtures, the dyes that are there, but we have also created some art. So we've done our science and our art, or our STEAM, accordingly. You can get fun, you can have some fun with it. You can make a little leaf on the side if you want for your flower. Bring that around, just kind of wrap it around like that to make a nice little leaf. And there we have it. We have a really pretty flower that we've created using chromatography. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If we can switch back to my main camera, I would love to see if you guys were able to create your flowers or your butterflies. Go ahead and hold them up to the camera. And so I can see them. Can we switch back to my main camera? All right, let me see your flowers. Ooh, let me see. Very nice. I see some butterflies. I see some flowers. Very nice. Very nice. All right. And so I think I have a guest that's going to come and talk to you guys a little bit about how to use chromatography. And so coming up in 1 second, let me go grab her. Come on over. And so guys, if you guys remember, this is STEAM Forward with Janita Pritchett and friends. So I have one of my near and dear friends here, Dr. Christina Jones, and she actually uses chromatography on a regular basis. So I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself, and then we're going to conclude the session. So Christina, go ahead and have a seat.
Good. Okay, I was going to say I was going to duck down so everyone can see me. So as Dr. Jace said, I'm Dr. Christina Jones, and I'm an analytical chemist. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I know this is being streamed live. And so me being an analytical chemist just means that I develop methods to study and detect chemicals and biochemicals. And then I also use those methods to study everything that's around us to understand what chemicals they're made of. And so one of the methods that I use a lot is chromatography, which is what you guys just use to make your flowers and butterflies, which are so cute. But I use it for, or I have used it throughout my career for a lot of different things. So have many of you guys taken like medicine for stomach aches? Can I see some hands? I think maybe I could see a few hands or something. And so, yeah, okay, there we go. So when you take a medicine, it has what's known as an active ingredient. And so that's the thing that's actually helping you feel better. But then that medicine can have a lot of different components in it to help your body get ready for that active ingredient. And so I've done things like use chromatography to separate out all of those chemicals so that we can understand how they're interacting with your body and your active ingredient. Unfortunately, I've had death in my family due to cancer. So cancer detection is something that's near and dear to me. And so I've also used chromatography to see if we can find new biomarkers for things like ovarian cancer and prostate cancer. And so actually there's a ton of people that's using what you just did to look at blood and urine to see if there are chemicals, biochemicals in the blood and urine that can be used to detect cancer at an early stage so that we can reduce the number of deaths. Wow, I've also used it. So I mentioned the medicine before, but in a lot of countries, there are people that make fake medicines. And so those medicines look just like, so whatever you take for your stomach ache, it would be another thing that looks just like it, is labeled the correct way, but it has fake ingredients in it. So if you take it, it can actually harm you and make you feel worse than what you did before you took it. And so I've used chromatography to actually study different medicines so that we can know what's fake and what's not fake, and work with countries so that they can take that off of the shelves of their stores to make sure that no one's harmed. What else have I used chromatography for? It's so cool. You can do so many things with it. I've used it to try to help detect let's see, so like cholesterol levels in blood. So you guys are probably too young to get your cholesterol tested, but your parents may have. Anytime you go to the doctor and they draw blood, I work with an organization where we develop methods so that the different labs can know that what they're detecting is actually true. Let's see. What else have I used chromatography
We
for?
use it for
I know
everything.
it's everything. Yes, yes. You use it for so many different things, but I like how you guys used it. I haven't done this demo in a long time, but seeing the colors separate out just reminds me of like what all of the different applications that you can use it for. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Christina. If you guys want to reach Christina, tell them how to find you on Twitter.
Oh, yes. On Twitter, I am at CM Jones, PhD. And I'm also on LinkedIn. You can search Christina M. Jones, and that's CHRISTINA.
Thank you so much, Christina, for talking about a little bit of your career and how you use chromatography. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed our quick demo today. You can keep on working on this and making more flowers and more butterflies and display them around your house. You can give them to someone special. You know, who doesn't love to receive a really pretty flower? But remember, what we used today was chromatography to separate out these mixtures. And how chromatography works, we had our stationary phase, the filter paper, our mobile phase, the water, and with capillary action, the water is able to drag some of those inks out of the markers and separate them into their individual components. And we're able to create some art along the way. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back next week. Again, if you missed the live viewing of this or any of our other sessions, you can go to SciFest Africa's YouTube page and check it out. I hope you all enjoy. Go ahead and show us those flowers and butterflies one more time. Oh, I see one hanging. I love that one. And this will conclude our session for today. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks. Bye.